Hello and welcome to House Planet Bite Size, the podcast brought to you by House Planet and Housefully. My name's James Varley, the founder of House Planet, and our goal is to share everything you need to know about buying and managing short-term rentals. Today's guest is Jennifer Knight from Savvy Social Solutions, and she's got 5 ways you can supercharge your presence on Instagram and turn lookers into bookers. Okay, real talk now for all you hosts out there. You know that moment when your guest messages you again with, "Hey, what's the Wi-Fi code?" Or you're staring at 5 different calendars, wondering if you've accidentally double booked the cottage. Yes, we've all been there. That's why here at House Planner we recommend Housefully. It's basically your rentals control center. It handles bookings across all the big platforms, syncs your calendars to ensure there are no double bookings, automates guest messages, and even creates these really slick digital guidebooks that stop all the repeat questions. Honestly, it just makes your life easier and keeps your guests happier, helping you achieve those all-important 5-star reviews. And here is a little bonus. If you're a House Planet listener, you can get $500 off onboarding for Housefully's property management software and 30% off digital guidebooks for life. Just hit the link in the show notes and use the codes PLANET500 for the PMS and HousePlanetGB for the guidebooks. And if you'd like a proper walkthrough, there's also a link to book a demo with Frank Bosey from Housefully. He will show you how it all works. Less stress, more bookings, sorted with Housefully. Jennifer, thank you for joining us on House Planet Bite Size. You've got 5 ways hosts can supercharge their presence on Instagram. So take it away with tip number 1.
Absolutely. So my first tip for everybody is post mini tours. Specifically for Instagram, people love seeing like behind the scenes. They want to know where they're going to be. So if you're posting like this is where you're actually at, it's going to be huge and people are going to love it just because it gives them that little bit more of just like your booking site of like, oh, where am I staying? They like to see it in more details.
Excellent. Yeah, so so you mean this it's just a case of like taking a video of your rental? Is it as simple as that and then just uploading it as a reel on your Instagram?
Yeah, it can be as simple as that. You can make it more complicated, but if you don't have to overcomplicate it, don't do it, honestly. Just showing like, hey, this is this room. Maybe you do it that way and then highlight different rooms depending on, each week that you do it. You can do it that way.
Excellent. So when you're doing the video as well, would you say that you should be in shot or should you be talking over it? What do you think is the best format?
It really depends. If you have multiple people that can help you film, it's great to be kind of walking through and talking about different, features and things. If you're by yourself, you don't have to. You can put music over it. You can do voiceovers. It kind of just depends on what your feel and branding is.
Superb. Okay, then. So a mini tour is tip number 1. What's tip number 2?
So right now, the Instagram is changing a lot. They've just introduced where you have SEO and you can show up on Google searches now. It's a big thing that's happened. So using the location where you're at, either in your video content or in the caption, can really help because now when people are Googling, places to stay in Arizona, you can pop up if you're using that location. So you want to be making sure you're saying this is where we're at.
Yeah, it is important. And I've noticed a
Mm-hmm.
little difference actually. So for example, like we're recording podcasts all the time and I'm always recording from the UK and our guests are all over the world. Like you today, you're in the States. We're often talking to people in Europe and everywhere. I always put UK. Would that be right? Would you always put like for your property, the location of your property?
So you can say just UK. You can get more specific if you really just want to attract people that are looking in that specific area. It doesn't really matter how detailed you get as long as there's something there.
And in relation to showing up in Google searches there, I imagine the impact of this is people that are posting on Instagram are starting to get a lot more eyeballs on their
Hmm.
content. Is that what you're seeing?
Yeah, so Instagram, you used to only be able to find it on Instagram. Maybe your profile would show up in Google searches and things, but now they're allowing it to show up on Google searches as well. So the more you're posting and the more you're using that tool, you're going to show up more often.
Makes sense. Okay, superb. So tip number 3.
Yeah, so guest love is what we're going to call this. And really what that is showing testimonials and showing, if you can get your guests to go on camera, that's gold. Not a lot of people are going to do that. They're going to do a written review. So even just showcasing like, hey, we have people staying with us. We're staying busy. If you can show that, it's going to boost your credibility and it's going to build trust with people that might want to stay with you in the future.
And in terms of testimonials as well, if you do have a written testimonial, I guess you could put that in a nice, I don't know, Canva design something and use it on your stories or maybe as a post as well. I guess you're taking advantage of all those great reviews that you're getting.
Yeah, so definitely put it in a Canva post, put it in the stories, make it look pretty. Because if it's just like a screenshot, a lot of people are just going to scroll past it. It's going to look clunky in your feed. So don't do that.
Yeah, I think this is the point, is that if you've got those great reviews and if you're running a good rental, you're going to have loads of good reviews.
Mhm.
Utilize them really well. Okay then, Jennifer, so tip number 4.
So, tip number 4, we're going to talk about why you're going to stay with them, essentially. What makes you different? So, obviously, you're running a business and you're not the same as the one down the street. So, show why. Do you have a pool and the other place doesn't? Do you have a really cool game room? Show those unique things? Do you have a working farm? Like, if you can get down to what makes you you, yeah, you're going to attract different people and you're going to slowly start attracting those people that want that experience.
Definitely, yeah, showing those unique selling points. And I guess always thinking about what your target guests want.
Hmm.
If you've got a certain guest avatar, you know they're coming for a specific reason. Maybe they're a business traveler and they want to know that there's great Wi-Fi. They want to know there's a parking spot. They want to
Exactly.
know there's a cafe next door. Show those things to your potential guests. Okay then, Jennifer, so tip number 5.
Yeah. So we're going to talk a little bit about your bio. So a lot of people get confused about this and they might just say Airbnb host in this location. But that's your first selling page. So, you have your website, you have your booking pages, but a lot of people are going to go to your social media. So, can I look at your page and immediately know who you are, where you are, and what makes you unique? Because if I can't, I'm not going to stay and I'm not going to call you. So, really make sure that all the information is there.
Excellent. And what would be the kind of the best practice for a buyer if you're a property manager in a certain location? What are the key things that you've got to have in there?
Yeah, location, of course. You want to make sure that people know where you are. Anything that makes you unique. So, if we're targeting people that need great Wi Fi, make sure you put great Wi Fi there. If you're targeting people that want a great vacation and have a pool house, say that. So really the things that make you unique, who you are and where you're at.
Superb. Okay, 5 great tips there. So we've got put the mini tour together, use the location tags, show the testimonials that you're getting, outline what makes you different, and of course, get your bio right. When it comes to frequency of posting, and I imagine there's a lot of property managers out there thinking, well, I've got a few rentals. I don't really know much about social media. I don't know much about Instagram. How do I get started and how often should they be posting?
Oh, that's a sticky question, and everybody you talk to is going to have a different answer for you. My rule of thumb for my clients is typically the more you post, the very least, you're going to show up on people's feeds more. So the biggest thing with how often you post is you want it to be consistent. So whether you're going to post every day or 3 times a week, it doesn't really matter if you don't have that time to dedicate to it. However, you need to make sure it's every single Monday, it's every single Tuesday at the same time. That's more important than your frequency.
And what are the types of posts and the types of content that you've seen have the most impact in terms of converting people from lookers into bookers?
Anything that makes you unique. So, really, types of content do really well if you have any reels. Those tend to get more views on Instagram. That's not always the case with businesses because they can't always, have the video content. But professional photos do really well as well. So, anything you can get that looks clean. Don't be posting a grainy photo that your grandma took because that's not going to do well. It's not going to reach the right people and it's really not going to reflect great on your brand. So make sure it looks clean is the biggest thing.
And in terms of your grid, which is your profile page, I've seen lots of kind of really manicured grids over the years and they look amazing. How important is it to get that grid right?
It's becoming less important. Definitely 2-3 years ago, it was highly important to do that. Now I don't see it being as important. People aren't looking at it as like that full picture. They're kind of just seeing like a post here and there. So of course, if you can get it to match better, do it, but don't spend, the next 12 hours stressing over it either.
And are you finding that reels and, people looking through the stories, that's become more of a focus for Instagram than kind of the standard posts which go on somebody's grid?
Yeah, definitely. Definitely stories get a lot of attention right now. Definitely getting reels. It's going to put you in front of new people. And that's really the goal for most of the time is get it on other people's radar for when they actually want to book their vacation, they're going to go with you.
So if you've got that video content, make sure you use it
hmm
often and wisely. Okay, so tell us a little bit about what you're doing in the States and your company, Savvy Social Solutions.
Yeah, so I own Savvy Social Solutions, and we actually specialize in the hospitality industry. So restaurants, hotels, all the hosts that might need it. And what we do is we take it off completely off their plate. So if they don't have the time or the mental power, or they just want to go kayaking instead of focus on the social media, we take care of it. We've seen some great results. I mean, some of my clients have had 70,000 views organically, and that's a difficult feat just because, it's hard to get that momentum. We really specialize in making sure you're consistent, making sure you're on brand, and we're promoting you.
Superb. And where can people find out more information?
Yeah, so we of course have our Facebook and Instagram page, but also our website, savvysocialsolutions.com, is pretty easy and you can find out more.
All right, check it out. We'll put those details in the show notes along with the contact for Jennifer. Jennifer, thanks so much for joining us on Host Planet Bite Size.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Great to chat with Jennifer Knight there about Instagram tips. Remember to highlight your USPs and always tag the location. All right, that's it for today's episode. Remember, this podcast is brought to you in collaboration with Housefully, which is trusted by short-term rental professionals across the globe. As a House Planet listener, you get 2 exclusive offers. $500 off onboarding for Housefully's property management software. Just use the code PLANET500 and 30% off digital guidebooks for life. Use the code HousePlanetGB. To grab these deals, click the link in the show notes or head to housefully.com. For more free education, tips and trends from the STR industry, visit houseplanet.club, where you can sign up for our newsletter, listen to our podcasts, and download a suite of ebooks for hosts and property managers. That's it for today's episode. Until next time, happy hosting.